I'd like to share some new Google Search Console features I've noticed with everyone, and I don't know how many people have seen this or not seen this. Now, honestly, Google's been sneakily putting these out since December, so some of these aren't new. Some of these have been out for a couple months. They're new to me. I just noticed them, and I suspect a lot of you may have seen them or may not have seen them. So let's talk about them now. So first, there is a new date time granularity or date time frame granularity. Then there's a new AI interaction mode they have. There's also branded versus non-branded search queries. And when you see it, it'll be kind of interesting. I don't know how Google figured some of this out. And then comparison data has been added every place. So let's look at the first one. So date granularity, you can now, if you look on the right-hand side, so when you go into the performance report in Google Search Console, you can now choose daily, weekly, or monthly in your date range. So it used to always default to daily, and that's all you can see, but now you can see weekly and monthly. I can see that they have a grayed out hourly. I'm not sure how to select that. I didn't dig into that too much, but that's kind of interesting that they have that in there. One note to make, watch your date ranges when you do date granularity. So if you choose weekly or monthly, just be aware of exactly what dates you chose, because in this example, I have it set to weekly, but the initial week was probably midweek, and I'm recording this on a Thursday, so there's still several more days of the week. So it looks like the data jumped up and then jumped down. So you will want to set a custom date and just be careful of those date ranges. Otherwise, you're going to have this spike up and spike down. And often when clients or folks in-house see this, they may not understand what that means. Next is the AI interaction. So there's this little blue button to the right of the filters. When you select it, a little AI-powered mode pops up where you can just ask it questions. They give you some example prompts to put in there, but you can really put anything in there, any information that the Google Search Console obviously has to be updated in the Google Search Console, but you can pretty much put anything in there and it will give you information. So that's kind of cool. You can ask it specific questions as opposed to having to dig through data. So that's kind of nice. I like that one. Branded versus non-branded. So then when you add a filter and you go to filter for queries, there's a new option that says branded queries or non-branded queries. So I checked this out. Google's actually really, really good at figuring out what are the branded queries and what are the non-branded queries. So this is kind of cool. So that's a really new feature. It's new, I think, as in the last month or so, but that's really cool, and I recommend trying it out and testing it out a little bit on your own brand and see, does Google really understand what your brand is? Here's a little pro tip. If Google is not figuring out what your brand is, I would not call that a problem with Search Console. I would suggest you probably have a problem with your brand and it's not real clear to the search engine what your brand name is. And so there you go. There's a little SEO tip right there. Comparison data. Pretty much every filter now has comparison data. So for example, we have search type here. You could always choose web, image, video, or news in Search Console, but now you can compare the different kinds of data. So here we have an example on comparing web to image. And then here's what the chart would look like. Obviously, I get a lot more web traffic on this site than we do image traffic. So the dotted line is pretty much along the bottom, and the web data is on top. But this is kind of cool. You could do this. You can compare different queries. You can compare different pages. I can compare SERP features. So I can compare all of the different things that we can filter by. I can now compare in Google Search Console. So that's really powerful. And it's a way to give you a chance to look at your data in a couple different ways. And you can also obviously stack all of these things on top of each other. So you can compare some data. You can change from daily to weekly granularity. And then you can ask the AI to give you information about it or give you insights about it. So this is actually becoming a very powerful tool, and that's kind of cool. So hopefully you folks will all jump into Google Search Console, check it out, and check back for more Tuesday tips. Thank you very much.